I never cared much for HOA drama. That was the whole reason I bought a ranch miles outside their neatly trimmed neighborhoods. Out here, I had space, real land, real sky, real silence. Not the kind of silence where you're scared to sneeze too loudly because some board member might write you up for noise violations. Ranch life was simple, and that's exactly how I liked it. My ranch sat on over 100 acres of dry, open Texas land, golden grass rolling across the hills and a wide horizon that swallowed the sun every evening. My closest neighbor was 2 miles away. The only things on my property that made noise were the wind, the cattle, and the old diesel generator that coughed whenever it started up. The whole point of moving out here was to be left alone. But apparently, some people don't understand the concept of a not your jurisdiction. It all started with a letter. A printed, glossy Hawaii-style invitation slid under the metal gate at the end of my dusty driveway. No stamp, no envelope, just a folded sheet tucked into the fence like someone expected me to find it the moment I stepped outside. It read, "We would like to invite you to the Willow Creek HOA community meeting this Saturday evening. Attendance is required for all community residents." Required, residents, community. I wasn't any of those things. I didn't live in Willow Creek. My ranch wasn't in their subdivision, nowhere near their paved roads and identical beige houses. Their boundary stopped a full mile before my land even started. I crumpled the notice, tossed it in the truck's cup holder, and forgot about it. Saturday evening came and went without much thought from me. I grilled some ribs, fed the horses, and enjoyed the sunset like I always did. I didn't know that somewhere across the fields, a group of clipboard-holding adults were waiting for a man who was never planning to show up. The next morning, the real story began. I was fixing a loose board on the fence when I spotted dust rising along the old service road that cut across the back of my property. At first, I thought it was a delivery truck or maybe a neighbor checking in. But the closer it came, the more I saw the shape, clean white SUVs with blue stripes down the sides. Not police, not county vehicles, HOA Patrol. My first reaction was confusion. My second was annoyance. The SUV pulled up to my barn like they had every right in the world to be there. 4 people stepped out, matching vests, radios clipped to their shoulders, the whole wannabe authority package. The leader, a middle-aged woman with stiff posture and sunglasses big enough to cover half her face, approached me with a clipboard like she'd been preparing for this moment all morning. Before she said a word, I already knew I wasn't going to enjoy this conversation. "Good morning," she began in that official tone fake authority types love to use. "We're with the Willow Creek HOA Compliance Patrol. We attempted to meet with you yesterday, but you didn't attend the mandatory community meeting." I kept hammering the board into place, pretending I didn't hear that. She cleared her throat loudly. "We require cooperation to keep the community operating smoothly." I finally looked up, squinting at her under the rising sun. "Oh, Mom, you're on my ranch, miles outside your HOA. I'm not in your community." She smiled in that tight, condescending way people do when they think you're the one who's confused. All properties within a 3-mile perimeter of Willow Creek are considered part of our extended jurisdiction. No, I'm not. They're not, I said flatly. That's not how anything works. The man standing behind her muttered. We found his gate open. Technically, that counts as implied access. I laughed, actually laughed. I left it open because I'm repairing the fence, not because I'm auditioning to join your HOA. The woman stepped closer, frowning like my attitude personally offended her clipboard. "We require that you attend the rescheduled meeting to discuss your property's compliance issues. You trespassed onto private land," I replied, lowering my hammer. "That's the only issue here." She didn't even blink. "Sir, refusal to engage with the HOA can result in fines. We're for a ranch that isn't in your HOA." "Yes." "No." I walked past her, grabbed the fence wire, and prepared to get back to work. I expected them to leave. Normal people with functioning common sense would have left, but HOA Patrol members are not normal people. The woman raised her hand, signaling her little squad. "I'll begin exterior assessment." Before I could stop them, 2 patrol members marched toward my barn, another toward my livestock pen, and the last one started taking pictures of my truck like he was documenting a crime scene. "Hey!" I shouted. One of them, A tall guy with sunburned cheeks answered without looking up. We're performing a standard compliance inspection. It's required. The hell it is, I snapped, marching after them. Put your phone down and get off my property. The woman chimed in from behind me. If you interfere with an HOA patrol, we have the right to escalate. Escalate what? You have zero authority here. But they didn't stop. They kept taking pictures. They kept walking around the barn. One of them even tried to open my feed storage shed. That's when I lost patience. I took 3 big steps, reached the tall sunburned guy, and snatched the phone right out of his hand. He gasped like I'd assaulted him. You can't do that. It's my property, I said. Everything on it, including your unwanted pictures, is mine. The leader finally snapped. Sir, that's property seizure. I'll be filing a violation. You do that, I'll be calling the county sheriff. And I did. While HOA Patrol tried to regroup near their SUVs, I dialed the sheriff's office. I knew the sheriff personally, small town perks, and I told them exactly what was happening. Trespassers, unauthorized inspection, harassment. They said a deputy was 10 minutes away. The DHOA group exchanged worried glances, but the leader tried to maintain her cool. We're doing community work. Once the deputy arrives, he'll see that you're obstructing. No, even she didn't believe that sentence. The deputy arrived fast. He pulled up, stepped out, and took one look at the HOA patrol lined up like they were awaiting inspection from a superior officer. What in God's name are you folks doing on his ranch? He asked. The leader stepped forward confidently. We notified him of a mandatory meeting. He didn't attend, so we came to assess compliance concerns. The deputy blinked slowly. This land is not under any HOA. That's not correct. She argued. Our community charter extends. No, it doesn't, the deputy said, his voice sharpening. This ranch is under county jurisdiction. Your, say, boundaries end at Willow Creek Road. You've trespassed. The color drained from the HOA woman's face, but pride is a hard thing to surrender. For a king to surrender. We were told his property affects community standards. It doesn't, the deputy said. And even if it did, you have no legal authority to step foot here. The HOA members shifted nervously. One tried to step behind his SUV door like he could hide from the deputy's stare. The deputy pointed toward the road. Leave now. Before I cite every one of you for trespassing, they hesitated just long enough to prove how delusional they really were before scrambling back into their SUVs. But before the lead woman got into hers, she leaned out the window and hissed, "We'll be back with documentation. You can't ignore community expectations forever." I leaned on the fence post, staring at her like she'd just threatened me with a glittery water gun. Bring whatever you want. Just remember the sheriff's number is on speed dial. They sped off, dust rising behind them like a retreating army. The deputy shook his head. Busy year for HOA nonsense, he muttered. Let me know if they come back. I thanked him, watched him drive off, and went back to finishing the fence. But even after the board was secure, the irritation lingered. This wasn't over. People that obsessed with control never back down after one humiliation. They regroup, they plan, they escalate. And I had the uneasy feeling that HOA Patrol wasn't finished with me yet. I was right. They returned with reinforcements. They came back with a plan. And next time, they didn't just trespass. They tried to take over my ranch. I didn't hear from the HOA for 3 days. 3 whole days of peace, feeding the horses, checking the cattle, fixing the generator, and enjoying the white Texas mornings that no HOA meeting could ever ruin. But peace has a way of warning you before it disappears. On the 4th evening, as I was rolling bales of hay toward the livestock pen, I spotted something odd near the tree line. Sunlight was fading and the sky had that purple gold glow that hides details but reveals movement. I saw shapes, several of them, moving behind the mesquite trees, flashlights, papers in hand, radios crackling, not animals, not neighbors, not anyone who belonged there. I walked slowly toward the barn, pretending I didn't see them, but I kept my hand ready near the utility drawer where I stored my spotlight. I wasn't about to walk blindly into something stupid, so when I reached the barn entrance, I flicked the spotlight on and pointed it straight toward the tree line, foreheads ducked down like guilty kids stealing snacks. I recognized their vests instantly. HOA Patrol was back. I didn't even bother masking my irritation. You hiding from something? I yelled. They froze, like they were still deciding whether to run or pretend they had a reason to be there. Finally, the same leader from last time stepped out, dust on her vest, leaves caught in her hair, and the legal folder clutched like it was a weapon. "We're here on official business," she announced. "We delivered documentation to your gate and are now conducting a perimeter review." I lowered the spotlight to keep from blinding them, but didn't soften my tone. "A perimeter review of land that isn't yours. It impacts community sightlines," she said confidently. "Which gives us conditional jurisdiction." "A conditional jurisdiction, my ass," I replied. She ignored the insult. HOA leaders always do. They're trained to speak like they're reading from a script that only they believe in. "We have reason to believe your property violates multiple community standards," she continued. "Offense height, structure placement, environmental clutter, noise potential." I actually had to look around to remind myself where I lived. 100 acres of ranch land, fields, trees, one barn, one house, not a single neighbor for miles. "Environmental clutter," I repeated. "A lady, that's a stack of hay." "Oh," one of the patrol members whispered to another. "It is sort of messy." "I'm easy," I said. "It's a ranch. Dirt is part of the package." But they weren't budging this time. They had come prepared, not with logic, but with paperwork. The woman lifted her folder and opened it with a dramatic flap. "This is a notice of expanded HOA jurisdiction," she declared. "We have a map from the builder's original community development plan." She handed me a printed map, so faded, old, and low resolution that you could hardly tell what anything was. It looked like someone downloaded it from a website in 1998. The map showed a huge shaded circle around Willow Creek, far beyond their actual boundaries, and right at the outer edge of the circle sat my ranch. "This is not legal," I said, flipping the page. "Where's the county seal? Where's the developer's signature? Where's anything official? It doesn't require government validation," she replied. "It's a community-recognized expansion." "A community-recognized," I repeated. "Meaning you guys made it up. It was voted on." By who?" "The HOA board." "Oh, so 5 of you?" "So a 5 is a quorum." I stared at her, speechless. She stared back, proud of herself. Then her squad stepped out of the trees fully, clipboard out, camera out, ready to start poking around again. "No," I said firmly. "You step 1 foot past that tree line and I'm calling the sheriff again. You can't prevent a compliance inspection. It's called trespassing." She sighed as if she was the one being patient with me. "If you refuse to comply, we will escalate this to the highest authority." "Which authority?" "Our HOA president." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Out loud, hard. She narrowed her eyes. "You won't be laughing when he arrives. You won't be laughing when he arrives. Is he 9 feet tall? Does he have a badge? Does he have an army? He has decision-making power. So does my cattle. At least they produce something useful." She stormed off, her patrol following behind her. Before she left, she pointed 2 fingers at her own eyes and then at me, like she thought she was in a spy movie. They retreated through the trees, whispering frantically into radios. I had a feeling they weren't going far. And I was right. They were planning something bigger. That night, sometime after midnight, my horses started whinnying. Not playful noise, alarmed noise. The kind they make when coyotes get too close or something spooks them. I grabbed my boots, flashlight, and stepped outside. That's when I heard voices, whispering, rustling, footsteps. I turned the corner of the barn and nearly ran straight into 3 HOA Patrol members. One of them had bolt cutters. Another had measuring tape stretched across my fence. The last one was taking pictures of my barn roof in the dark. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. They froze, blinded by my flashlight. We're inspecting," one stammered. "At midnight." "Our compliance hours aren't restricted," the woman's voice said behind me. I spun around. There she was again, as if she emerged from the shadows like some HOA vampire. Clipboard in hand, vest zipped, determination carved into her forehead. "You've ignored our meeting," she said. "You've ignored our notices. You've ignored our expanded jurisdiction. You left us no choice. You broke onto my ranch," I said, "with bolt cutters. The gate was locked. That's what a lock is for. That's what a lock is for. This is a serious violation. You cut my fence. We may need to replace it with an HOA-approved model. That was it. Enough was enough. You," I said, pointing at her, "are leaving. We're not done." "Yes, you are. No, we're not. We'll return with the HOA president at sunrise." I stepped forward, staring down at her until she had no choice but to tilt her head up to look at me. "Leave, now, before the sheriff gets here. We're not scared of the sheriff. You should be, but they didn't leave. Not entirely. They backed away, but didn't exit the ranch. They waited at the far end of the property near the service road, watching, planning, waiting for sunrise. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I stayed on the porch, boots on the railing, shotgun by the door, not because I planned to use it, but because HOA Patrol needed to see I wasn't playing anymore. Sunrise came slow, but when it finally broke the horizon, I heard engines. Multiple. 4 SUVs pulled up, 2 sedans, and a pickup with a magnetic HOA sign stuck to the side. Oh, they brought everyone. Today was the big move. Doors opened, out stepped the usual patrol, and then one man emerged from the pickup, a man in a navy blazer, khakis, and a comb-over so stiff it looked bulletproof. The HOA president. He walked with the self-importance of a man who thought this ranch was already his. "I'm here to resolve this dispute," he declared loudly. "There is no dispute," I replied. "We're trespassing." He smiled the smile of someone who'd never been told no in his life. "Sir, your property has been identified as a non-compliant element within HOA sightlines. We're expanding our management area. Effective immediately, your land falls under our authority." "Oh no," he blinked. The word didn't compute for him. "This is final," he said. "Oh no, it isn't." "For it isn't." "Yes, it is," he repeated. I pulled up my phone. He smirked until he saw what I was doing. I wasn't calling the sheriff. I was calling the developer of Willow Creek, the actual landowner who built the HOA boundaries 20 years ago. A man who hated HOA more than anyone. He answered on the second ring. I put him on speaker. The HOA president's smile died instantly. "Hey, John," I said, "you built Willow Creek, right?" "Yep," John replied. "Why?" "Why? I've got your HOA claiming my ranch is part of their expanded jurisdiction." John laughed so hard I almost dropped the phone. "Those idiots again?" They tried that same nonsense with the gas station last year. The whole president swallowed hard. "This is a misunderstanding." John cut him off. "Well, your jurisdiction ends at Willow Creek Road, period. If you step 1 inch past that line, you're trespassing." The HOA group looked like a classroom of kids who just got caught cheating. "And if I'm not mistaken," John added, "the county already warned you once about this crap." The deputy sheriff's truck rolled in right on cue. "So, the HOA president paled." "Oh good," John said through the phone. "A law's there, let him handle it." The deputy stepped out, took in the scene, and shook his head. "Didn't I just tell you people to stay off this ranch?" The HOA woman stammered. We escalated into a bigger trespassing charge," the deputy said. "Everyone back into your vehicles. Now." Now, the HOA patrol scattered like quail. The deputy stayed behind just long enough to say they won't be coming back. "They're getting fined big. Real big." I thanked him. He tipped his hat. "You handled it better than most would have. Call me anytime." When he left, I finally let myself breathe. The ranch was quiet again, peaceful. And as the sun climbed higher, I walked the fence line, checking for damage, fixing the cut section, and letting the cool morning breeze wash away the last of the irritation. My land was safe, my privacy intact, and the HOA, they were barred from even approaching my property for years. Living out here wasn't just about land, it was about freedom, real, honest freedom. The kind no HOA could extend fake jurisdiction over. My ranch wasn't just a home. It was proof that some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed. And after everything they tried, the HOA finally learned one lesson. Some people don't back down, and I'm one of them.